Oh, what a year, eh, folks? And you know what? This time of the year, I just like to sit back, cool my heels, and look at the letters that are being sent in during the Christmas time period. So let me reach into my sack. Let me rephrase that. Let me reach into this Santa stocking and see what kind of feedback I have received. By the way, my Christmas wish, if any of the staff are listening, next year, bigger font. I'm kind of losing my eyesight here. Anyway, Harold Lee writes, after being arrested so many times and no charges or no charges have stuck, at what point can you charge them with harassment? Plus, does the judge at least have the state pay for your lawyer? Harold, these are excellent questions, and I don't think we'll even get an answer by next year, maybe by 2026. The wheels of justice grind slowly. We have served the RCMP and Chrystia Freeland's office and the York Regional Police with our civil claim. It's $1 million. The physical assault by Uncle Fester of the Mounties, that's a small part of it. The big part is the infringement of our constitutional rights over and over and over again when it comes to practicing journalism. So when these actions are heard in court, and right now it's just one, but you can bet your bottom line the Toronto Police Service, they will be served in 2025 with another lawsuit. And you know what the good thing is? Given the RCMP's egregious way they shut down our journalism and physically assaulted me and falsely arrested me, we basically have the template for other police services as well. So kind of like 5 for the price of 1. Anyhow, stay tuned. Gord Montian writes, Dear Menzoid, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. In light of that pride group suing that town of Emo for not recognizing June as Pride, or whatever they call it, month, considering they sued to blackmail this town and get money like that, why don't you go and sue them for their purposes? If they include the American representation, then I would suggest to them in Tampon, Minnesota, but he's referring to Tampon Tim, the governor, because that's what they call it now. Or how about petitioning President Trump to get in on this group from the state side? You know, that's a fascinating question. Borderland Pride, they're the activist group that initiated this going way back to 2020 when they demanded the tiny little township of Emo, population 1,300, declare June Pride Month and to raise the pride flag for the entire month. Wee bit of a problem there, folks, as we discovered when we personally visited Emo earlier this month. They don't even have a flagpole there. That's how small it is. So where are they going to raise that pride flag? But details, schmeetails, eh? But Borderland Pride, in addition to representing Northwestern Ontario, they also represent Northern Minnesota, at least the Rainbow Mafia contingents of these two places. So yeah, maybe there is something on the U.S. side in terms of getting these pride bullies to back off. And I can tell you, that's what they are. The town has been fined $10,000. Borderland Pride somehow got a court order to go into Mayor McQuaker's personal CIBC account and withdraw $5,000 plus allegedly a $300 service fee. Gee, thanks, Chrystia Freeland, for setting a great example during the 2022 Freedom Convoy. So 2 things. Yeah, maybe there can be some American pushback, or if Trump follows through on his threat, perhaps Canada is going to be the 51st state, and therefore, well, nothing to worry about. We're part of the club, although it's kind of unwieldy, isn't it? That one state would be bigger than all 50 states combined. Maybe we'll have to make each province and territory a state, but time will tell. Anyways, good question. This letter is from Chris. Would you investigate Mayor Patrick Brown more on different scandals that are going on in Brampton? Love what you did during COVID at the ice hockey rink. Cheers. Well, thank you, Chris. You know, I don't mean to be cryptic, but we have something in the works regarding Sneaky Patrick Brown, and it's a whopper, and it might indeed result in actual criminal charges. I know I tease, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. We're going through rewrites. We're double checking our facts. We're having it lawyered. All I can say, folks, for later this year or early in the new year, when it comes to Sneaky Patrick Brown and his shenanigans, stay tuned. He is the gift that keeps on giving, isn't he? Bruce Atchison writes, how much must I donate to Rebel News to have an hour-long Zoom meeting with you about the good old 1980s? What a decade that was, especially the music scene. What fun we'd both have. You know what, Bruce? I would love to have a 1-hour Zoom chat with you. You are a great supporter. You weigh in on our live streams. So I'll throw it back to you. Whatever amount you want to contribute, that gets you that hour-long Zoom conversation, okay? I only ask you one thing. Don't be boring. That is the ultimate sin. You can be bad, you can be good, you can be so bad, you're good. The cardinal sin in this business, don't be boring. So make that donation and give me a holler, and we'll have that 1-hour chat about the 80s, including one of my favorite cars to come out of the 80s, the DeLorean DMC-12, you know, the one with the flux capacitor option, so we can bend the time-space continuum and go back to the 80s. It was so normal then, wasn't it? This letter comes from Rick, no surname. Keep up the great work, David. All your false arrests should be, if not already, thrown out. It is a total setup. I watched it all here on Rebel along with everyone else. The police are nothing but thugs and bullies that wear mall cop uniforms. They take their jobs right to their heads. Once they put on the badge, they think they have legal jurisdiction over everyone, which they don't. 4 on 1, that is not fair. But they think they are the law. No, they are not the law. They represent the law. The law is in the courts. Keep up the great work of reporting. You're a brave man to keep going out there time and time. Have a great Christmas. Well, Rick, that is so nice. Let me review. I think I was arrested 5 times in calendar year 2024. So the Mountie who arrested me in Richmond Hill during the Fraulein Freeland encounter, he dropped his own charges within 45 minutes of the arrest. So that never went to court, but we are suing him and others in a civil lawsuit. Then the Toronto police arrests, once for obstruct police and once for trespassing. We fought that in court, and in both cases, after the cops and their legal representative ragged the puck, it was thrown out by the Crown. Why? No reasonable prospect of conviction. The other 2 charges, one involves the OPP in May arresting me for, what was it? Technically trespassing, even though I was on a public rugby field. But the real reason is they didn't want me to ask insensitive questions to that transgender grifter, Ash Davis. He's the dude that plays with the females, contrary to World Rugby rules. And the 5th arrest, it actually carried no criminal charge. That was disturbing the peace when the pro-Hamas people, they became bullies and threatened me and pushed me around. And it was the cops at Bathurst and Shepherd that hauled me away. Disturbed the peace. There is no criminal charge. They just detain you until, and I'm not making this up, it's safe to release you back into the community. 2 weeks after it happened to me, it happened to my beloved boss man, Ezra Levent. So what a year. So basically, 4 out of 5 are solved. The fifth one, we are fighting that so-called trespass charge. I would bet my life we're going to win because there was no trespass. But isn't it sad to see how woke, at least the brass in these police services have become? I still truly believe there are a lot of good men and women on the police services. We tend to back the blue. We can't defund the cops without law enforcement. It's the rule of the jungle. It's anarchy. It's chaos. The problem is the police culture at certain police services, the brass going woke and being beholden to their political masters. This is where we need to reform the cop shop so that law enforcement can get back into the business of, enforcing the law. Pauline O'Callaghan writes, David, where do you get the courage to report, as you do so many times, in situations which are not Rebel News friendly time after time? I have nothing but admiration for how you handle hostile situations with calm and courtesy. Well, Pauline, that's very nice of you. Thank you so much. Here's the deal. That's an oft-asked question of me. How do you remain so cool under pressure? And the simple answer is this, to borrow a line from my beloved colleague Sheila Gunn Reid. We like to kill them with kindness. In other words, if you were to lose it, if you were to utter F-bombs, if you were to throw haymakers, it's not a good look. Everyone's got a camera these days. You are being filmed. You will be outed on social media. On the flip side, if you're kind, collective, calm, professional, and the hooligans are doing everything to push your buttons, but failing to bring you over the edge, I think this is the ultimate revenge, wouldn't you say? That they get frustrated, that they're probably thinking, what do we have to do to make this guy crack? I kind of like it that way. Nicholas Harrison writes, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, David. I am writing to ask you about your favorite Rebel report you did this year. So many amazing stories and adventures you have posted. Please share your favorite one. Well, you know what, Nicholas? That is a fantastic question. This year was so eventful. I'm going to go back to, I think it might have been the very first assignment of 2024, when right in my home city of Richmond Hill, we tried to scrum Chrystia Freeland. We tried to ask her why the IRGC, the terrorist group that shot down the Ukrainian airliner back in 2020, killing dozens of Canadians, as well as everyone else on board, why that wasn't recognized as a terrorist group. She was at the 4-year anniversary vigil for the shooting down of the Ukrainian airliner. And, well, as you saw, as millions of people saw, she took exception to that question and perhaps sicked her Mountie bodyguard on me. I say perhaps because maybe he was acting unilaterally. I don't know. It's going to come out in disclosure when we go to court with our civil suit. But I think it's my favorite because, first of all, it was so viral. It might have been our most viral video of the year. And secondly, it just showed you the whole facade of Prime Minister Trudeau's sunny ways shtick going down the toilet. The mask dropped that day. Fraulein Freeland didn't like the question that was asked, and suddenly I'm arrested, assaulted, falsely arrested, I should say, criminally charged, charges later dropped, I think because the Mountie himself saw video footage and realized this was a no-hoper. I'll drop the charges and it'll go away. Oh, sorry, Uncle Fester. It ain't going away. And really, what was my crime that day? It turns out I was just a few months ahead of the curve because in subsequent months, finally, the Justin Trudeau Liberals did the right thing, and they did indeed recognize the IRGC, one of Iran's proxies, as a terrorist group, proving, I guess, yet again, that even a broken clock is correct twice a day. Joe Madden writes, David, besides using your vocabulary to dissuade people from being aggressive, do you practice or have any formal fight training? Joe, what a great letter. And it's something I'm thinking about. You'll never believe this. My two sons are into mixed martial arts. They compete and they train others. I think I might sign up my sons to train me. I don't know where they get it from. I've never been a fighter. And but given the mean streets of our great Dominion these days, given that, well, law enforcement is now increasingly turning a blind eye and a deaf ear to acts of outright physical violence, I feel you might be onto something. A little self-defense should be top of the order in 2025. But isn't that sad? I mean, what are we doing? We're just out there practicing journalism. We're asking questions. Nobody, regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, should be physically accosted. But as we've seen this year, it just happens way, way too often. Yeah, so maybe if you're watching this, Adam and Sean, book some time down at the dojo. Time for me to get into fighting shape, it would appear. Oh, from Captain Kirk. David, I so admire you dealing with the leftists that we so despise. You do not accept easy answers or no answers. I love the fight in you. You are fearless when it comes to these Islamic extremists and trans weirdos. God bless you and Merry Christmas. Well, Tiberius, thank you so much for that letter. And, you know, you've touched upon one of the most perversely ironic, strange bedfellows situation to emerge in 2024. When you talk about the Islamic extremists and the trans weirdos, we often see subgroups along with the Hamas hooligans under the banner of queers for Palestine or trans people for Palestine. And it's bizarre, isn't it? Because if they were to go across the pond to, say, Gaza, and they were openly queer or openly trans, well, here's a financial tip for them. If you're going to do that, just buy a one-way ticket. You ain't coming back alive. That's how members of the queer community are treated there. Why they would get into bed with the Islamists, that's beyond my pay grade. Kind of like, you know, a group called Chickens for Colonel Saunders, wouldn't you say? This one is from Howard Hutchins. Merry Christmas for 2024. And can we please campaign against the corporate woke folk to see more businesses display Merry Christmas in 2025? Howard, I totally agree. In fact, I believe it was last year or the year before, I went to Yorkdale Shopping Mall, and I believe there must be at least 100 merchants in that mall. And I think I saw the word Christmas on just one piece of signage. It was this special time of the year, happy holidays, let it snow. It's almost as though the C word is like saying Voldemort from the Harry Potter series, that if you dare utter it, this evil wizard shall somehow appear. But you know what? I'm going to give a plug to one very big major retailer who is not Christmas adverse when it comes to their marketing, and that is Canadian Tire. For the last few years, folks, Canadian Tire has been using the tagline, Canada's Christmas store. And I know, I mean, you'd think, why is that radical? Why is that notable? Well, it's because Christmas in the marketplace has all but vanished. And it's amazing because all the retailers will make use of the symbolism associated with Christmas, but not say the C word. And you know, in terms of my needs, that works in terms of Canadian Tire's marketing. So if I need to go somewhere to get an item that you would get at, say, a Canadian Tire, a Home Depot, a Renault, I'm going to Canadian Tire simply because they are not ashamed to use the C word. Oh, here it is. Folks, I have with me the final letter of 2024. It's from Tamara Ugolini. And she says, what is the seventh planet from the sun? Well, Tamara, as we all know, that planet would be Uranus. Anyway, bit of an in-joke there. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sure we're up to all kinds of other shenanigans in 2025, which I believe is going to be the year of regime change in Canada. It went very nicely last month, wouldn't you say, in the United States of America. So until next January, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. All the best in 2025. Can't wait to see you in the new year. Merry Christmas.